And we are back for another episode of Listen, Here's the Thing. No, we are not recording a music video or a song.
Or DJing.
Yes. Or on Taylor Swift's new album. We actually have a special guest with us today.
Naseem Rochette.
Yes. The author.
The author of this awesome book, The Unexpected Benefits of Being Run Over, which sounds really ominous, but it's heroic, actually.
Yeah.
She's amazing. So I can't wait to talk to her and get her feedback on how she did it, how she recovered. And
how she turned tragedy into a transformation. So we are very excited to have her on this episode of Listen, Here's the Thing.
Hey there. On today's Wine Spies highlight, there's a special bottle on deep discount.
Think 40% off or more every single day. Plus, if you want free shipping, you can build up a case of 12 bottles over time, and they'll ship it free once you hit a dozen.
Just check our show notes, website, or socials for the link, and you'll even snag $20 off your first order.
Cheers! Well, welcome, Naseem.
Welcome to Listen, Here's the Thing. So it's so nice to meet you virtually.
Yes.
Kind of in person. I feel like I know you just from your book. You know nothing about us, but
right.
We know everything about you, which is probably a weird, awkward position to be in. So tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write your book, who you were before. Let's just get that started. Yeah.
So let me start with who I was before.
Sure.
Because I've gone through some big transformations in my life. Like, I started as a really painfully shy, insecure girl and lived that way for, probably the first 20 years of my life. Never played any sports, never did anything, just was always feeling like I didn't belong. I was the only Indian where I grew up. I just never felt like I fit in. I never felt comfortable in my skin. By the time I reached mid-20s, that had changed, and I had finally grown to be comfortable with who I am. I wouldn't say I liked who I was, but I was comfortable. And then, many years of, self-help books and just living, getting married, having kids. By the time this accident happened, I had found and built a life that I liked, and it always feels a little awkward to say, but that I was proud of, and I was happy, and felt in command, and juggled the kids and a full-time job and a house, and was still there at pick up and drop off, and felt like I was the master of juggling it all. And that was me when everything changed, and I was hit and run over by a car 3 times.
First of all, that's wild. Absolutely wild.
Yeah.
And when you read the book and basically you're reading it and you're like, how does this woman go forward, go backward, go forward again? And there's people on the street yelling and screaming and everything, trying to get her to stop. Your husband was there, like banging on the car. I mean, unreal. Absolutely unreal. So
I know. And sometimes it's probably so tone deaf, but I laugh when I tell the story because I still can't believe it. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I have to say, I loved how honest and vulnerable you were when you talk about this. And you were honest in the vain moment where you're like, what am I going to look like now? Because I would 100% do that.
Yes.
I know Meko would do it,
I think we're around the same age, so I understood everything that you were saying about being thin and being the way that you looked and how that was sort of your business card in a sense of that was what everyone associated you with how you looked. And 100% agree. And that was the time that we grew up in. I think it still holds true. I mean, look at social media and whatever, but what made you think about writing a book about this? So instead of just keeping it in your memory or keeping it as something, a life lesson, what made you transition that into a book?
There were so many interesting parts of the journey. So when I first got hit, you know, as you noted, I was having a good day. I was feeling skinny. I like loved the outfit I was wearing. It was a good meeting. And when the car first hit me, I was feeling so good. I was like, oh my God, she's hitting me today when I feel this fabulous and I'm on my way to dinner. Like, you know, and you know, in those moments, everything slows down. And so I'm like, you know, am I going to be black and blue? Or, you know, I'm not worried. You know, it's like a cocktail party story. And then as the woman drives over me and reverses over me and goes forward over me, and I'm pinned under the car, all while my husband is watching,
Right.
I have so many, you know, end of life moments and reflections. And then, as you can imagine, the journey of recovering was a whole nother experience and set of insights. And what I learned through those moments was hard, but also felt so satisfying. And, you know, I would share them in a small group, but once we got to COVID, so as you know, let your listeners know that so through my journey, we decided to reclaim the day of my accident and make it a holiday. Instead of it being a day that I almost died, we decided to make it the day that I survived and call it Unbreakable Day. And when
I
we
love that.
started COVID, I realized things that I had learned and gone through just might be of value to other people. It's like we were living in this long, unbreakable day. And that's when I decided, let me try and share some of these lessons more broadly. I really had no desire to write a memoir and kind of put my whole life out there. But, you know, without sharing the context of my experiences, I felt like the lessons would be less, you know, impactful, wouldn't resonate as much.
Yeah. I mean, so it's easy to like now say how this changed you, right? And you turned this like trauma into something that has a great outcome and right. And you're able to be a motivational speaker and tell people your story. When my daughter was 7 months old, my husband was in a really bad car accident. And I mean, like 2.5 years of like surgery in and out of a hospital bed in our living room. So for him, there was a long time of like, why me? Why me? Before he finally had the epiphany of, which is why our parent company is called Be Alive Today, right? And that because he needed to have his Be Alive moment. So how long did it take you before you were able to take all that tragedy and those why me moments that you had and turn them into a positive outcome?
Well, you know, it was interesting. So when the accident happened, I, uh, as crazy as this sounds, the car ran over me 3 times. The tires went over me 5 times, but I didn't break any bones.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And you're so
And
small.
because I didn't break any bones, I was never admitted to the hospital. In fact, the day of the accident, you know, I was in the hospital. I mean, I can't walk, I can't see, you know, I'm in excruciating pain. My face is all cut up, my body is all cut up. And I said to my husband, I'm like, tell my boss I'll be back to work on Thursday. I
So
felt like
funny.
if no bones are broken, then
Right.
how bad could it be? Right.
Right.
So when I went home, I had this real conflict of, you know, how can I, you know, how do I deserve help? Or, you know, how can I, you know, feel like I lived, you know, it's so wrong for me to, you know, feel like I deserve anything or need anything. And I was so embarrassed to accept help. And so, you know, the why, it wasn't so much for me as a why me. It was a just how do I, you know, how do I not be the victim? You know, how do I not be so embarrassed that people are trying to help me and that I'm no longer that person that everybody can depend on and can't walk up my stairs or hold a coffee cup and do all of these things. And you know, as strange as this is going to sound, like in my mind, I also felt like if this was going to happen, like I had been feeling so happy. I mean, I'd actually said out loud the day before, like, I'm happy. And then I felt like I'd cursed myself a little bit. And, you know, thought, okay, if somebody in the household had to be punished for being too happy, I'm glad it was me.
Yeah. And that's the mom in you for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So there was, there were so many conflicting feelings going on. And I think what happened, or how I was able to turn it around, and I'm not gonna, like, I woke up crying every day for weeks, and, my brain wasn't working. I often tell the story of my husband asked me to fill out a camp form for my 7-year-old. Now, ladies, a camp form is like your child's name, your address, tell me
Yeah.
about your child. I stayed in bed and cried for hours because I couldn't do it. And I was in tech sales, like I was a problem solver. A form, a camp form should scare me, but my brain didn't work anymore.
That's frightening.
It was terrifying. I mean, my brain I actually still can't do forms. That's, maybe I don't want to, I don't know.
Well, you got a good excuse now.
Really. Well, I also think that speaks to how ambitious you were before the accident, to you not wanting to hold this victim mentality after, right? And so you kind of think about, no, I can just do it. Like, it should be automatic for you. And I think that's really telling in your book, that you just felt like, no, I should be able to get up and go after I was just run over 5 times.
And that was a really hard lesson, to recognize that I just can't think my way out of everything. Because for a long, long time, I thought, I've got a positive attitude, I'm smart, I'll just be able to navigate this. But it really, is not nearly that simple. And, my body had very different reactions. I still have panic attacks when I cross the street.
Sure.
And it took me a long time to let myself be okay with that. My body needs a minute. It's natural. It's not a weakness. It's not a failing, that I have these triggers.
Well, because you talk about it in your book, like as a child, like that you didn't really put yourself out there. You didn't take any risks. You didn't learn how to swim, right? And it was your husband who introduced these new things to you. And then you have children. You don't want to be the one left behind. So you taught yourself to do things, and very ambitious. And then all of a sudden now your daughter has to step up and help. And she was, what, 13 at the time?
She was 13.
Yeah. Maybe your husband sounds like he's always been a great partner, but when you have to become so dependent, I know that was a struggle for my husband as well, right? Like just to be like so dependent on someone to do like the daily activities for you.
And I was so embarrassed. I didn't want people bringing us dinners and driving my kids. I mean, that's not who I was. And there were actually a couple things early on, that I'm sure you read about, that really, I think, shaped my ability to navigate through that first very difficult year. So the first thing that happened, which was another tragedy, my brother lost his dog. And he lost his dog, and I'm very close to my brother. And so I really wanted to help him. And he was like, sister, you just got run over 3 times. Like,
right.
Seriously, don't worry about me. Yet I still had this need. I mean, I couldn't see, I couldn't move, I couldn't walk, I couldn't do anything, but I still had this need to help him. And I think that planted the seed that just like I needed to help him, people needed to help me.
Yeah.
And that the accident didn't just happen to me, it happened to my family and to my friends and to my community, to everyone that depended on me or even felt like it could have been them in the pedestrian crosswalk that day. So, and then the other thing that happened, I think, that helped me navigate that realization was I learned about the art of kintsugi, which is where you take a broken piece of pottery, and you glue it back together with a gold inlay. So you accentuate the cracks in the vase and recognize those cracks as part of the vase's journey. And that just gave me a way to reframe my thinking, like, okay, I don't need to be a victim. This accident is part of my journey now. And I can share it, I don't have to share it as a victim. I can just share it as a fact.
And it's part of your journey in life, right? Rather than just it defines you. It is like, definitely, this is part of my journey. This is why I understand certain things that happened in my life. And going forward, now I can, maybe become a little bit more empathetic to needing help, right? And like putting it out there. I think that's a great example. And I love in the back of your book where you had like your sermons. That really resonated with me, especially number 3, where you just spoke about let people help. Because we as moms, as women, as working women, working moms, we're always sort of like the superhero in the story, right? We always need to be the room mom, be at the sporting events, also work a full-time job, win a war, whatever you're going to do, and be a good wife. And sometimes you need to just step back and just say, I can't do all of this. Like, yes, I need to accept help. And especially when tragedies happen like yours, then you really need to say, let them help me. I mean, that was really, really great.
And you're spot on that it's not just, sometimes it's about you and it's about them. Like I realized letting people help and showing that vulnerability is actually a dimension of strength. And I think for all of us who always want to be strong, like when we reframe the thinking and recognize that, it's much easier, to just appreciate the help too.
For sure.
Are all of your kids out of the house now? Are you guys empty nesters?
No, luckily one is still.
You still have
I
one at
still
home?
have-
Okay.
And I have six pets, 4 cats and 2 dogs.
Oh, wow.
love it.
Yeah, full house, full house. Well,
I love it.
yeah. Well, Meko and I are like, we're new empty nesters, but we've had different types of like stuff that happen in our lives. And I think that molds your children to who they are when they go away. So especially with your daughter being the oldest, do you think that made her grow up a little bit faster? And maybe like, what was her journey when she first left the house and went away to school?
So yes, she definitely, had to grow up quickly. I think all the kids internalized it very differently. Some, got a little more clingy. Some I think had to harden up, and my daughter certainly had to grow up and take care of her brothers. She when she went to college though, I was so worried, and she was so ready.
Yeah.
And I think that she just, the way we navigated the journey just made us realize that we control the story.
Yeah.
And if we don't like how the story is going, we can change it. It doesn't have to be permanent. And I think all of the kids operate with that insight and that baseline. And it definitely, because she wasn't planning to go where she went. She was planning to go somewhere else. And, things happen and she went there, and she's just done so well, but she's never let that disappointment hold her back.
Yeah.
She just takes the journey where it goes.
No, that's awesome.
As with you, I'm sure that helped mold her journey, but didn't define it. And I didn't get in a car accident, but I'm a breast cancer survivor. So I have an older daughter who sort of took on the same roles and responsibilities when she was in middle school when I was diagnosed, and sort of being the big sister, the person who rounded everybody up and made sure things were done and people were at where they needed to go. And I think that defines her to this day. She's definitely the definition of the oldest daughter in terms of just her, the way that she looks at the world. Nothing scares her. And I think in a way, and you can maybe speak to this, Naseem, like in a way that's a really great badge of honor to have. But I also think underneath, like sometimes, I don't mean to sound cheesy, but like the song that Taylor Swift wrote, Eldest Daughter, I sort of think about her and like how maybe underneath her shield of, I got it together because I had to for so long. Like there's this part of her that needs to be vulnerable in that way. How do you feel about that?
That's a really interesting insight. I don't see a lot of vulnerability from my oldest daughter. I probably, of my 3 kids, I probably see the least from her. And, I don't think I've actually ever really reflected on that and how much the accident must have impacted that persona. But I mean, also like the way I was before the accident, the way her grandmother was, it was always about not showing any weakness,
Yeah. Yeah.
being totally strong. That is, and actually that's something that I probably need to pay attention to. How do we make sure that vulnerability is accessible
Yeah.
and not seen as a weakness?
But I think it's great how like raw and honest you were with in your book. And I think sometimes as women, we like try to sugarcoat things, put a little makeup on it, make it look pretty and perfect all the time. And sometimes we really do have to be raw and authentic to who we really are and teach that to our daughters, and that just is going to make them better women and stronger women, and know that, let's be honest. Like, I don't even think my grandpa knew my grandma farted. You know what I mean? And now, like, yeah, we do things. You know what I mean? Like, we're human.
Yeah.
And you're just putting yourself out there, And I think, were you ever scared to be super honest in your book when you were, writing it down?
It wasn't easy. I wrote probably 60% of the book in a few weeks, in a month.
Oh,
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
All the contextual details and the personal stuff took almost 2 years, because it was hard to know what was relevant, what was gratuitous, and how personal to go. Because as you saw, I went very personal. I really shared a lot of my insecurities and, a lot more than I think I ever thought I would share with the world. But it's been so rewarding, because what I've learned too is when you share, it makes people more comfortable in sharing back.
Yes,
For sure.
absolutely.
Do you get that feedback when you see people on the street, or you've touched so many lives? Like, have they came up to you and said, "Hey, because of your book, I want to let you know how that resonated with me and in my life"?
Yeah, that has been really wonderful to hear. Like, I had no expectation. I wanted to write something where I kind of put it out in the world and I didn't embarrass my kids with it. But the response and, the number of people that have reframed, those tough moments into unbreakable days, or, feeling like, they'll take ownership back, has just been, so wonderful. And so unexpected, the number of people that needed to recognize that and needed to feel like, what, I might never be the same as I was before whatever,
Right.
accidental elevation point was, but that's okay. Because I think so often too, we put those moments, under the table or in the closet, and we don't talk about them or think about them because we don't want to be downers.
Yeah.
But we learn so much in those moments. And if we can reframe, it doesn't mean they weren't hard or horrible or tragic, but if we can start to reframe how we think about it, then we get the benefit of learning and recognizing and even appreciating all of the things and the people that helped us navigate it.
Yeah.
Like like you talked about your daughter and how she stepped up, and
Yeah.
she loves, when you say thank you for that.
No, absolutely. Well, here's the thing question really quick before we get back to like you and your story, because we weren't recording this before. Can you hold up your glass of wine, please?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. So you were telling us before you do not drink red wine anymore because
I'm in my 50s.
no, and it gives you headaches. That's such a bummer, when you have to say goodbye to something that you do enjoy. But you do have a good sparkling rosé there.
I do. I gave it up. I pretty much drink all sparkling. It just feels festive.
Yeah.
Prosecco or sparkling rosé.
Okay.
What's your favorite brand?
Oh God, I don't know. I'm that kind of uneducated, bubbly buyer that goes with the pretty bottle.
Oh, there you go. That's perfect.
That's a good way to go.
That's perfect.
So how do you celebrate? Do you celebrate your Unbreakable Day with a bottle of rosé just for you? Or do you celebrate it with your family, with your husband? How do you do it? Or is it different?
So we celebrate it. Most years we've celebrated it with a party, because we want to say thank you to everybody that helped us navigate that, crazy moment. And we like to say that everybody has gone through something, and we all need to give ourselves that little pat on the back of, oh my gosh, we survived that craziness and we navigated this, and here's who we want to thank. So we'd like to have a big party if we can, and if we can't have a party for whatever reason, definitely spend time just reaching out to people and thanking them and letting them know how important they were to me. One of the things I learned underneath the car, so there were two, near-death thoughts that I had. One was, I didn't want to leave my kids, but I felt like my kids knew who I was and they knew how much I loved them. And that felt good. But then I realized the other people in my life had no idea how important they were, and the small moments, how impactful different small moments were. And just, I didn't, I appreciated, but I don't think I was clear enough, with how important people were to me, and how thankful I was. And I felt a lot of regret about that. So I try now to, not just, appreciate, but really acknowledge and share how important people are to me. And
that's a great life lesson in general.
Absolutely.
Just to be grateful, appreciative, and thankful for the people that stood by you. For it's easy to be near someone when they're celebrating and when there's fun things that are happening. But when there's a tragedy or something happens that you need help, those are the people that step up and are really, your people. They end up being your people. And it's a testament of those friendships, I think, through those times.
Yeah.
Yeah. You brought up actually something else that was a hard lesson. Is there a lot of people that will show up for you, but sometimes there are people you expect to show up for you that don't necessarily show up.
Yes.
And that took some time for me to emotionally navigate and accept. But one of the things that I realized, and it took some time, is that just like I have triggers now, like crossing the street, or nobody looks at me and says, "Oh, she's been run over," and they don't know so many things about me. There's so much we don't know about the people in our lives. And that maybe my accident and seeing me disfigured and broken may have been a trigger, and so they couldn't show up for me the way I thought they should, and that was their own defense mechanism. So and I call that a kindness to myself, because that's what I've chosen to believe about the people that didn't show up for me, because I don't want to lose all the happy memories and times, and I just want to accept that they couldn't show up for me.
No, and that's a good outlook on something like that, right? Because I do think that there are some people who panic in situations and they don't know how to verbally respond to it. They don't know how to show emotion or random acts of kindness, right? And then there's just some people who are just, they don't think outside themselves, right? If it's not serving them, they don't want a part of it.
Yeah.
But when Meko got diagnosed, that was at the beginning of our friendship, but if anything, I don't know, I just had this overwhelming, what are we going to do? I would make mock mojitos and we'd sit and watch Netflix while she was getting a treatment, and I would have snacks for all the ladies in the doctor's office, and we'd just sit and chill. So, and it was kind of that was the start of our friendship. And then we just kind of molded into almost like a sisterhood. So, yeah. So then there are people who truly do step up, because in a new friendship, you can kind of go, oh, well, maybe you just need to be with your family and do your thing, check in with me when it's over, Yeah. So, yeah.
But it's a testament of your resilience as a friend to know that you can be there for that person in the time that you're it's awkward, I don't know what to do. And it's weird for people to say, what do you need? Well, I don't know. I don't know what I need. So how about you just provide me with something? And if I want it, then yes. And if I don't, I don't. But at least you're asking, or you're just showing up with something. Katie could come over with, a pot of chicken and dumplings, which are my favorite that she makes. And that would be cure-all for anything. Or, you'd come over and lay with me in my bed.
Yeah.
And we'd watch a TV show. And that would just mean the world. But it's better than someone saying, well, what can I do for you? I don't know. I don't know. And I'm sure, Naseem, you felt the same. Like, I can't name it.
Yeah, you actually brought up something that was really complicated for me, which was when people would say, "How are you?" You know, I always tell people, don't ask somebody
Yeah.
in trauma or crisis,
Yeah.
"How are you?" Because it's just such a complicated question. I
Yeah.
know it seems so
And it's almost
innocuous.
condescending in a way. I mean, you don't mean to sound like a bitch, but you're like, what do you mean, how am I?
Right.
Shitty. You know?
Well, but you never, and then you don't want to necessarily say shitty, or you don't want to say good because you don't want to lie or be a downer.
Yeah.
But then you have to think about, like, how do I answer this
Yeah.
question? And like, it's just all this
Yes.
complication, you know. So I always tell people, just put a statement out there that I can like tap back to, like, you know, thinking about you, sending good vibes,
Yes.
you know,
Yep.
whatever, but
Yes.
no questions.
No questions. You're right. You are right.
No, and this is like a good PSA for people who are listening. Like, what should you do if someone close to you or is an acquaintance that is going through a traumatic event like this, whether it's a death in the family or an accident or an illness, you know, that maybe you just need to show up with something, right?
Yep.
Instead of trying to get an answer from you, because like you said, like your brain's going a mile a minute or it's not thinking at all, right? And you just want someone just to be there, right? Hold your hand, watch a show, drop off, you know, a pie or a soup, you know?
Yep.
Take some pressure off your family and you. And also, I think you and Naseem are very much the same, like powerhouse business women, right? Like Meko was killing it in pharmaceutical sales, traveling, you know, super mom, doing all the stuff. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're at a halt, you know, and life completely changes, right? And you two know that, you know, better than anybody, where my only experience is as like the caretaker spouse, right? So
That's just as much complexity.
It is.
You know, it doesn't just happen to one person. It happens to the whole family.
It does not happen in a vacuum. That is for sure.
no, it's a good point.
It does
It's a very
not.
good point.
So what would your advice be to women our age, 40s, 50s, that are going through anything? What would be finding strength, even if they're on either side? So if they're, you know, going through it or if they're with somebody who's going through it.
You know, I think one of the first, the couple things that I think really helped me and that I highly recommend are recognize the way you talk about it, the way you treat it, whatever it is, makes a huge difference in, you know, how you and your family navigate it. You know, if you recognize it's part of your journey, it's part of your journey. If you become a victim, that also makes everyone else around you feel something's wrong. You know, and obviously hard things are hard things, but are you going to take control of it and own the narrative and say, I want this to, you know, go this way, or I want this to be not define me, you know, but and just take ownership and reframe your own thinking. Like, what are the words you're using around it? You know, what is the energy? Like, I mean, you know, I couldn't move and I couldn't see and I couldn't walk. But what I realized is that once I started sharing what was going on with me, I could share the victories of that too. And that brought some positive energy. Like, you know, are you letting people in? So, you know, if I always say, you know, if I told you ladies that I showered today, you would say that's really not so exciting. You know, why are you talking about that? But if you knew that I couldn't walk or I couldn't
Right.
stand or I couldn't get up the stairs or bear hot water on me, like if you knew those things, then I said I couldn't shower, that I showered, you would get like, that's something to celebrate.
Yes.
And that gives you hope and it gives the people around you hope. So that's one of the first, you know, I think own your narrative and celebrate the little victories.
Yeah.
And the milestones and recognize them.
Yes.
No, I love
100%
that.
agree.
So about the physical trauma, how long did it take like your skin to heal? Right? Because you kind of had like bad road rash, right?
Yeah, I did. So basically the whole right side of my body was raw. I probably stayed out of the sun for a couple of years,
Okay.
you know, because scars on my face and across my body. I mean, I still, I've had plastic surgery on both my legs. I've had, as you can imagine, a bunch of surgeries, but I really don't wear skirts anymore, because, there's still a lot of damage on my legs. I probably was able to start walking without a cane, after like 3, 4 months.
Okay.
Started walking again, but in the beginning, when I first went back to work, I actually used to put gold glitter on my scars, because there was no hiding the
Yeah.
scars all
Yeah.
over my face. So I decided to just own it.
I
This is
love
my
that.
journey.
Have you been able to wear the power heels again?
So I will never be a stiletto wearer.
Okay.
But I do wear block heels.
Okay.
And I take, I know there's a risk because my knee could give out at any time, but I decided it is a risk I need to take because I
Yeah.
my heels.
The benefit actually outweighs the risk.
Right? Because it's how great you feel when you're in them.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Sometimes look good, feel good, do better, right? Like,
Exactly.
absolutely. You're speaking our language.
That's right.
Positive energy. When I feel good, I'm
Yes.
putting more
That's
into the world.
right. So your husband sounds like a rock star and very similar. You sound like you had a sound marriage prior to the accident. He still supported you, obviously, throughout all of the recovery. How would you describe, your support system as a whole, even after recovery and beyond?
I'm very lucky to have some very loving people in my life, but before the accident, I never let them help. And it, really was hard for me to let even those core people help. But what was lucky is that as I learned to start opening up, I got closer to so many other people that I had known on the soccer sidelines and drop-offs, but I had never shared anything personal with them. But once, I started sharing, they started sharing back. So I feel like my support system is so much more robust now than it was pre-accident, but it's because I'm so different now.
Sure.
The other interesting thing that happened, you brought up my husband. We did have a very good relationship before, but before the accident, I used to have that common complaint that, us very busy wives do is like, why am I doing all these other things I'm doing and running the household?
Right.
Can't you be doing this and this and this? And, what I realized when the accident happened and I couldn't do any of it, that it was actually all getting done and that I always just wanted it done on my timeline.
Yes.
And I never gave my husband the space to do it on his. But when he did it on his, it all got done.
That's a great
That was
point.
like,
That's a really great
that
point.
helped. I think that helped in marriage. I complain less.
Well, and I think it's a great example for you to set for your kids on relationships and what they should look for in a future spouse. I have 2 daughters and I tell both of them all the time, you want a spouse that will hold your hand through your worst days and your best days, just like my husband did. And I'm sure yours did too, that's a testament of not only your relationship, but their strength and that person's integrity.
Yeah, and he really did, and he watched it all happen. I mean, I heard in
even
his
imagine.
cries that he was watching me die, and then he just stepped up and focused on me through the recovery. But he had a trauma all his own.
For sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously no one goes through life thinking that something like this is ever going to happen, like this is going to happen to them, right? Or someone that they love. But if you could give advice to, because we have a group of ladies like in their 30s that listen to us because they want to like know what's coming. What should I do? Oh my gosh, you're like the great big sister kind of situation. Like what kind of advice would you give to the 30 somethings or even the 20 somethings? Just, you can't prepare for anything like this, right?
You can and you can't. You can in that you can make the decision. So I was lucky. So I've been in sales for 25 years, and sales is full of rejection. So
Yeah,
I've been to so many conferences where they have somebody that's gone through something terrible and survived, to give us motivation. Like, you can be rejected and still do well. So I had this inventory of stories where I knew people went through really hard things and navigated out of it.
Yep.
So I always said to myself, if I ever go through something really hard, I hope I'm like, so-and-so. It was really hard to be like, like strong when I was going through it, but I did know it was possible. And I think just remembering that it's possible is really, really important.
Yeah.
So you don't know what's coming, but if you know that you have the power to own the story, and you have the power, to decide, like we decided this was going to be a happy story, that May 21st was not going to be the day that I almost died. It was going to be unbreakable. We're going to celebrate that I survived. We don't focus on all the things that I can't do. We focus on what the benefits. And just, as hard as it is, and I'm not going to say those hard moments are not going to be really hard, but believing that you can reframe it, knowing that you can reframe it, and believing that you can still be a wonderful person or a, contributing human and not be less than, is really important to recognize and remember, and do whatever you need to do so that when you get to that moment, whether it's like, tell the people in your life, say, what, if I go through something really horrible, remind me that this is how I want to be. Write yourself a note that, or do something to remind yourself that you want to be the person that navigates it.
No.
And just that simple thing.
That's really good advice. Very, very good advice. So now, are you the person at the sales seminar that's the guest speaker, letting everybody know that they can overcome, and like, they don't forget about the no, go for the gold, Yes, find the yes.
I am doing some speaking and keynotes. And it's been really fun. What's also been really interesting, I'll share with you ladies, is that, so I thought, so my career was going well before the accident, and I have a traumatic brain injury. So I don't do forms anymore. I can't multitask like I used to. And I thought, how am I ever going to be a successful salesperson, without these skills, without this ability? And as crazy as it sounds, and as, as surprising, it was so surprising to me, but my career has actually been better because I'm more vulnerable, and I build stronger relationships, and I celebrate the incremental wins and, the milestones in a way that has allowed me to solve harder problems, and build stronger teams. And it was, nothing I ever would have guessed, that a traumatic brain injury could actually, help my career.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Are you still working?
Yes. Yeah.
Good for you.
I have 2 kids in college. Yeah.
Right?
We can never stop.
I know. Today was a tough day. Our girls were on fall break from school, and my husband and I went to go visit our daughter at school, but then brought her home on Sunday. It was her first time being home since we dropped her off. And she goes to school about an hour and a half from here. So I bolted out to Big Rapids to drop her off today. Dropping her off after being home for 48 hours was almost harder than dropping her off at school initially. If it wasn't for the fact that I had to get on 2 work calls on the way back to film this, I probably would have cried the whole way home. I probably would have. Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah. I mean, I said to my husband the other day, my son, my youngest, gets his license next week. And I was like, this is the last month of my life that I have to drive the kids to school or drive a child to school.
Yeah.
Like, that has been part of my day for years.
Yeah.
It's so hard. I know these little things, they're
No, it is.
They're hard.
Right? And as a mom, like, it's a silly little thing that defined a part of your life, but when it's gone and it's over, I don't know. It's just that sense of like, you don't need me for this aspect of your life anymore. But like Meko
yeah.
likes to say, we've now become more like consultants as opposed to parents to like help our children navigate, you know? And I like that mentality, you know?
I have way too much time on my hands now. It's like I feel like I need to find like hobbies.
Yes, that's what we say all the time.
Yes.
Like, what craft project could I do? I'm not crafty.
Yeah.
Do we need to start playing mahjong?
Yeah,
How much pickleball can we play? I mean, I can't work out any more than I already do. Books to read. I mean, there is a lot to do, but you just have to keep your head busy because otherwise then you'd cry.
Yes.
Think about your kids being gone.
Well, yeah. So tell us where people can find you, and then we're going to kind of enter into the more of like the listen, here's the thing aspect of the podcast.
A little bit lighter.
But we definitely want people to know where they can find you, where they can get your book, and all things Naseem.
All right. So the book you can get on Amazon or wherever books are sold, I guess. You can order it. And you can, if you want to hear me reading it, I do the Audible.
Oh, and you have a pretty voice. Perfect. I love it when authors do their own Audible.
You know, it was so personal that I felt like I needed to. And what was really nice is the producer I worked with, I did it from my house. He's like, you know, it doesn't have to be word for word the book. You know, you just tell the story. So all of the big words that are in the book, I didn't have to pronounce. Right?
That's perfect.
Oh, I love that honesty.
And if you want to find me, NaseemRochette.com, or a little easier to remember, lifeunbreakable.com.
Are you on any social platforms?
I suck at social.
That's okay. Just checking. Okay, good. Good for you. You're probably better off for that. Glow Medical Spa is Mid-Michigan's premier med spa for skin rejuvenation and anti-aging. The trained nurses and estheticians at Glow specialize in non-invasive facial aesthetics such as toxins, fillers, and lasers. Glow is ranked in the top 1% of all providers in the U.S. for Botox and filler, as well as Black Diamond Icon status for Hydrofacial.
Glow Body specializes in body contouring with Ensculpt Neo, Emcella, weight loss clinic, and therapeutic massage. Book an appointment today at glow-skinspa.com.
So we talk about things that are not really that serious sometimes, Naseem. So I'm just going to apologize ahead of time if you don't watch Love is Blind or Dancing with the Stars. I'm sorry.
Are you kidding? I was actually I loved what you were saying about Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh.
And and Keith and why they were divorced.
Oh, Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban. Yes, yeah.
And,
Is she not been with so many younger women in movies or so many younger men?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the source? I mean,
that
speculating.
can't be easy. You know,
I heard her say one thing, or I heard somebody say something about like she didn't even want to be touched after.
Oh.
You know, these scenes, like she was so disgusted.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, that would be, yeah.
I guess. I could go either way.
We're just dealing with those movies and being a menopausal woman. Like,
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
My glasses are giving me a headache.
All the extra things. Yeah. All right. So what is first of all, do you watch Dancing with the Stars?
No.
That's okay. Not a big deal. It's totally fine. I am not typically a Dancing with the Stars watcher. Okay. I will never forget the first season it came out. My daughter was 2.5. And that was the reason she decided she wanted to be potty trained, because she looked at me and said, I want to wear a dress like that. And I go, well, you can't have a diaper on if you wear a dress like that. She literally took her diaper off and was like potty trained after that. So I should have known that she was going to be a very strong-willed girl growing up. But for some reason, I don't know if it was the people who were on it, I just gravitated towards it a little bit. And I have to say, I'm kind of enthralled, but I watch it on Hulu so that I could skip through all the commercials. I can skip through people I don't really care about.
So Hulu means you wait a day?
You have to wait a day.
Oh,
actually, I think you only have
bad.
to wait until it's off the air, and it might actually show up on Hulu.
Okay.
I don't vote, basically because I don't watch the show in real time.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I've not watched it ever.
No, she gets all her updates from me.
Yeah. So I know who's on it because I've seen Instagram and you.
Yeah. Well, Alec Baldwin's wife got kicked off last week.
She's annoying. Oh, and he also just got in a car accident.
With his brother.
He hit
Yeah.
a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. So maybe he was
I mean,
really upset that his wife got kicked off
I don't know
Dancing
if
with
you're
the
an
Stars.
Alec Baldwin fan, but speaking of him, randomly, my daughter was home on fall break this weekend, and we were watching Beetlejuice, the original Beetlejuice.
Oh, wow.
And Randy, my husband, came in. He's like, "Is that Alec Baldwin?"
Yeah.
I forgot he was on it.
Uh-huh. I
It
know
was
he's like a
such a great
baby in that movie.
Yes. And Gina Davis and Winona Ryder,
Yep. And then the lady from Schitt's Creek.
Catherine O'Hara.
Yes.
Yeah. And Beetlejuice was Michael
Keaton. Yes.
My God, what a great movie.
But when you watch it now, does it still hold up like it did in the 80s?
I think so. I mean, I just remember it from then.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't watch the whole thing?
No.
With Evie? Oh, okay.
No.
I have to say, there's a few scenes where I'm like,
Cringy?
I mean, in the 80s, totally was into it.
Yeah.
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 Did you hear MTV officially done? Yes.
40 years.
Right?
Over. Were you an MTV girl?
Oh my God, all I wanted to be was a VJ.
Right? Downtown Julie Brown.
Martha Quinn.
Yes. Oh, now they're all on Sirius XM.
I know.
You know.
Oh, God, I loved Martha Quinn. I remember I went to camp, like middle school camp, and there was a girl named Martha, and she looked like Martha Quinn, and we were all like enthralled with this girl.
Oh, that's so funny.
But she also loved Madonna, so we nicknamed her Marthana.
Wait, is Martha Quinn the VJ that's on Sirius XM now that sounds like she like smoked 9,000 cigarettes in one day?
That's
Who's that?
Nina Blackwood.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but Martha Quinn still sounds like she's 25.
Okay.
Her voice is very light.
Okay.
She didn't smoke cigarettes.
Okay. Yeah, Nina Blackwood.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, when you hear her, she's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, coming up next.
I know. Yeah. Julie Brown still sounds the same. Downtown
Julie Brown. Yeah.
So, Naseem, are you into reality shows? What reality shows are you into?
You know, so I did watch a lot of Vanderpump Rules,
Oh, okay.
Okay. Tell
Love
us
it.
more.
and that was really fun. And then, so I don't even know if I should be sharing this, but I'll just
Yes, you
share
can.
it anyway. I was doing a Vanderpump bar tour with my brother in LA last May, about 18 months ago, and I got roofied.
Stop it.
Shut up.
Who did it, Jax? Oh my God.
It was at Schwartz and Sandy's, which I know is closed down now.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
God.
it was a Monday night, 9:00, and I was having some drinks, like chatting with other tourists. I was there with my brother, and then he said next thing he knows, somebody came and said to him, "Your sister's getting in a car with somebody," and I was getting in a car with somebody that I remember none of this. And he said he like took me out. I was like giggling, and then I was passed out and violently ill, unconscious, and I woke up like 5 a.m. in an emergency room, with an IV, and I
Oh
was
my gosh.
screwed up for a couple of weeks.
Oh my God. Thank God you were with your brother.
Right? And that person came up to your brother, for sure.
I know, and someone I'd given my bookmark to for the book, Instagram messaged me later that week, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm still piecing the night together. Did you get me out of the car?" And she said, "No, but she said, I was talking to you 10 minutes before and you were fine."
Oh my God, that's so frightening. Do you think somebody at the bar did it? Or, I mean, like the worker? You're so nice. You probably won't say.
I can't, I'm not going to speculate. I have no idea, I mean, look, and I wasn't, I'm 53 at the time. Like, I'm not watching my drink. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not,
Right.
expecting that to happen.
Right.
Yeah, but that's a good thing. Like, everybody needs to be on guard, not just like 20 somethings.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
That's so wild.
I'll tell you, it was, so the accident happened. I mean, obviously, I was run over and that was pretty traumatic, but that was an accident. Like, the driver, wasn't trying to kill me on purpose.
Right.
She didn't run over me 3 times. The fact that there was a malicious intent really shook me up.
Yeah.
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 Oh my God.
No, and
I'm
that's
glad
the
you're
thing with
okay.
like when people go out of their way to harm someone else or make someone else vulnerable, like you're just a bad human. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. So, well, I
Ugh,
bet
I'm
that's
sorry
one of
that
your
happened
biggest icks in
to you.
life.
Yuck.
Do you have another one? Do you have another big ick in life? Like, oh, Miko's is like she doesn't like it when people was it not repeat themselves. What was it? Or just ask dumb questions.
Well, yeah. There's no point.
Oh, we giggle about that all the time.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What? What? Do you have a
Like
big ick in life?"
obvious questions.
Yes.
I hate it when people are like Mr. Obvious or Mrs. Obvious. And you're like, are we new here on Earth?
Well, my daughter's college roommate, like if she realizes that she says something that was like silly, you know, or like she might have sounded a little stupid, she goes, "Oh, you guys, it's my first day or my first time on Earth too," you know, like.
Very cute.
We're all human.
We all are human.
So my ick is probably, I just hate when people try to be smarter than other people.
Yeah.
Like, let somebody have a moment. Like,
Yeah.
just make them feel good. Like,
Yes.
it's so hard. I can't stand those people that always need to like say something.
Yeah.
I
So
agree.
I'm going to guess that you're not watching Love is Blind right now on Netflix.
I am not watching. Love is
No.
Blind.
Do you have an update for us on Love is Blind?
Yeah, they're all dumb. Well, so season 9, I have to say, because a lot of people are like shitting on it online. I actually think it's a pretty good season because, first of all, there are like really good looking women on it and not so good looking men, which I think is kind of a weird combo. And so I don't know, Naseem, if you know the premise of the show. It's like,
I do know,
okay.
yes, I know.
Okay. So they all met and then, madly in love because they didn't see each other. And then now that they're together, it's just all falling apart. And
Yeah.
it just makes reality TV what it is, which is awesome. So, now their personalities are coming out. Now they're living together. Now they're like, yeah, this does bug me about a person, even though I said in a pod that I was, this would never bother me about somebody. So anyway, it's getting really good. Now they're down to their weddings. So they have to get married in like,
People really get married?
yeah.
Some people do really get
Some-
married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a
Has
pretty
anyone
quick
stayed
thing.
married?
What's that? Sorry.
I said, has anyone stayed married?
Oh, yeah. And like
a
had
few.
kids. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot. But at this point, right, you're at season 9. And a lot of people, like, it just doesn't work out. You realize that people come in there with false, identities, basically, pretend that, they're one person. And I think sometimes when they're in the pod, they pretend that who they really want to be. But obviously who they really are does come out when they're face to face. They're all just trying to get on Love Island. They're all just trying to have their moment on TV. No, I mean, are you really there at this point to fall in love?
Right.
Like, who's really there to fall in love?
I think the 2 people that were there this season to fall in love actually excused themselves from the show early on because they were like the one guy who was he was cute-ish. He was an accountant. So you're as cute as an accountant can be.
Yeah.
No offense to the accountant. But he actually recused himself from the show. He's like, and he's not been back at all. He's just
Not
like,
for
this
any,
is
like-
not for me.
Okay.
This is not for me. I don't think I'm going to find love here. So that made me think that he was really in it to find somebody.
Okay.
And then when he got into it, he was like, oh, none of these people are sincere.
Yeah. Oh. And how can you be at this
can you
point?
be?
You just want to be on TV.
Yeah.
You want to have your moment in the sun.
Anyway, it is a great release of, if you just want nothingness and it gives your brain a break.
Yeah.
So I love that show.
So I do need to know with your 2 cat or what do you have? 4 cats, 2 dogs? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Has this been a collection that has happened like in your recovery? Like you're just like rescuing animals or?
No, some are rescues, but I do like my fluff, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of fluff in the shelters. So it's happened through our lives, but we've have 4 of the 6 are post-accident.
Okay.
So right after the accident, so we had 2 dogs and 1 cat at the time. And then my husband and I thought if we got 2 kittens, it would help the kids and distract them from all the problems that I was having. And they thought if we got 2 kittens that it would make me feel better. So we rescued 2 cats, and then the following year, actually, and this is my favorite animal, it's a dog named Charlie, but we call him Chach.
Oh.
So Chach is like the baby. He's like the star of the family. And he was my daughter's breakup dog.
Oh.
So she had this first heartbreak, she was in high school, and she wrote on her whiteboard, she's like, broke up with getting a dog. And we got this, and then my husband's like, we're not getting a dog. We have 2 dogs. She's going off to college. This is going to be our dog. I'm like, it's on the whiteboard.
What kind of dog? What kind of dog?
He is a porcupine, which I made up. His mom is Yorkie Pomeranian, Yorkie Poo, and his dad is Pomeranian.
Have you met
Mr. Nugget? So Mr. Nugget is a porky. He's half Pomeranian, half Yorkshire Terrier. Yeah, so Mr. Nugget is my sidekick.
He's a third co-host on the show.
He's a third
he's
co-host,
on
yes.
every episode. He
yes.
doesn't have a lot to contribute, but
No, he doesn't.
so
He's just here to
snuggly.
look cute.
Yeah.
I will say, when Kylie was home from school, she slept on the couch all day on Sunday. He laid right with her and was like, this is where I need to be. And he wasn't curled up in a ball. He was completely spread out. I feel like he was just as relaxed and had no nervous system stress the same way she was, like just decompressing. Everybody was in his...
how animals can just do that. I have a golden retriever, and my youngest daughter was home for fall break this weekend, and my dog usually sleeps with her. And she went right back into the routine. Like, we're like, go to your favorite bed. And Evie's her favorite bed. So she went there and then like would lay on her, like in front of her door when her door was shut.
Like, let me in.
Like, let me in. Oh, and she was so mad when Evie left. She wouldn't even go outside. She wouldn't lift her head. We were like, Evie, she's mad.
I know.
Actually, when I had the accident, the dogs were so sweet. They just... like, sat and stood guard behind me, like on the couch.
They have a sixth sense.
They do. They do. They just know. Absolutely.
We just need to be surrounded by animals.
Yep.
When our children leave.
Well, so we have...
That's why I was many too, because I kept, like, wanted more kids in the early years, and my husband was like, we're not having more than 3, and so I just kept getting pets.
No, that I could feel like that, and like weird hobbies is what's going to happen in my empty nest life. Like I started canning. Like now I'm like having like a little homestead. I can tomato sauce, applesauce. I want to do potatoes next. So that right.
I love that for
Little
you.
Susie homemaker.
Yeah.
Do you can and then like give people what you canned?
I mean, I do.
I haven't gotten anything.
No, Meko hasn't gotten anything yet. I know. I should give you some applesauce. Yeah, I just did applesauce.
Fun label. Like,
Yes.
You should make a brand. Like a
What was that Diane Keaton movie where she was the...
R.I.P.
I know, right? R.I.P. Diane Keaton. But she was like that New York City, like badass. And then someone passed away in her family and was willed like a baby. And then she moved to Vermont and made like baby food. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Kelsey, will you Google it? Oh, I used to love that movie.
Oh, it sounds charming.
It was like a rom-com, but it had nothing to do with a dude, right? It was just kind of like her
Baby boom.
Oh,
yes.
I don't think I ever saw
No?
that.
Oh my gosh.
Naseem, you're an East Coaster, like through and through, right? Like Columbia, Rutgers, like you just stayed. And New Jersey, obviously, is your home. Have you lived anywhere else?
Yes, actually. So during college, I did a semester in London and then met somebody, and then I moved to London. Then I came back, went to Rutgers, and then I moved to San Francisco, and then I moved to LA, and then I got married. Actually, my husband and I did a planned elopement in Fiji, and then we drove back and moved back to New Jersey, and we've been here and I'm married for almost 25 years.
Oh, wow.
gosh,
Congratulations.
That's
I know.
awesome.
So we were just in New York City a couple of weeks ago.
We should have met for coffee.
We should have let you know.
I know.
Oh, we'll be back. Don't you
Yeah.
worry.
I used to live in Philly, and so we went down to the shore. We had a shore house. for
Oh,
a couple
fun.
of years. Yeah.
Where's your shore house?
It was in Avalon, where all the Philadelphians go.
Or Margate.
Margate. That's so true.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
Meko was at the shore, fist pumping the sky, gym tan,
At the Princeton
laundry.
every weekend. Yeah.
Oh, just a regular snooki you are.
Right. I'm sure we have the same resemblance.
Oh my gosh. Well,
so
Naseem,
fun.
thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any questions for us? I should say that.
I don't think I have any questions for you.
I mean, we're just an open book. I mean, we just lay it all out there.
All right, I'll ask you. Do you guys have any tattoos?
I do.
I do not. I'm tattoo free.
I have a tramp stamp. Proudly. So does my husband.
No, it was a tramp stamp when you got I just
Yes.
recently learned that word.
Oh my gosh. I was prime time tramp stamp time. And I got it on South Street in Philadelphia. Super clean.
It's fun.
2 months after my husband and I were dating.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, they got
so
matching tattoos.
romantic.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he got a tramp stamp
He
too?
did, yeah. And we just said, let's get a Chinese symbol and let's call it crazy, like crazy in love. I don't know what it
Oh.
says. It could say I'm a terrorist. I don't even know what it says. Honestly, I forget it's there. It's on my back. Everyone makes fun of it. I should get it removed eventually, but
That
whatever.
was fabulous. No, don't get it removed because that's such a great
Yeah,
story.
it's green by now because it's so old.
I know. I did see that you have a tattoo. Do you have multiple tattoos?
I have so many.
You do?
So I got my first one at 44. And actually, this is funny. So I was, first one, you're so nervous. I had been planning it, researching artists. And then my husband and kids and I, this was 10 years ago. They were still little. We went to Florida to some spring break town, Panama City, Florida. And my husband sees a billboard for a tattoo shop and is like, Mom should get the tattoo here. And the kids are like, yeah, Mom, get the tattoo. And I'm thinking I'm going to some fancy place in New York with one of the tattoo superstars.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they want me to do it with them. So I'm like, okay, I'll get the tattoo at the strip mall. And leading up to the tattoo, I was so nervous about needles that my kids were giving me toothpick tattoos. They were jabbing me in my arm as hard as they could with a toothpick, for a half an hour every day.
Did that help?
And I thought, it worked because the tattoo didn't hurt at all.
So what is it? What's your tattoo? Can you
It's
share?
a lotus mandala. It actually came out beautifully. I'm
that is
very
pretty.
unhappy.
Oh, that's great.
And then I have a bunch of other tattoos that are reminders of things I learned so much from the accident, but I don't live this enlightened life. I still have to remind myself that I wanted of what I learned. And so I have lots of tattoos to remind me.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome. I would get more tattoos.
Would you?
Yeah, I would. I told my kids if they wanted to get a tattoo, I would get one with them.
Yeah. Well, so our daughter wants a tattoo, and my husband has tons of tattoos. And his thing is, whatever your first tattoo is, he's like, I will pay for it, but I'm getting the exact same thing put on my body, and we're doing it together. So you need to think about this,
That's sweet.
right? And I'm like, you got to do something crazy, make it like a Broadway something, because she loves Broadway.
Yeah.
And you just have to make it wild, so it has
What
to be
about
on
your face? Katie's face down the side.
So we do say, so he has this big tattoo of Lady Justice, right? And then sometimes he uses his heart more than his brain, when he makes decisions. And when it was drawn out on his arm, I was like, okay, well, that looks a little robotic. But when it was done, I mean, the woman is beautiful, but I had just had my lips done. And I was like, oh, that really is me. Look how full her lips are, honey. You actually love these. So, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. My daughter and I, it was her idea. We got Unbreakable.
Oh, I love that.
And then my son and I have a matching Be the Change.
Oh, that's
love it.
fantastic. That's
I love
great.
it. And I love that you share that with your kids.
So are you waiting for your youngest one, and then the two of you are going to get one together too?
I mean, I'm hoping he wants to get one, but I think he's less attached to me than.
You never know. I think it always shows up later.
Yeah. No, it does for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for
It's so
joining us.
awesome to meet you and get to know you.
Yes.
Look forward to having drinks one day in the city.
Yes,
love that.
absolutely.
My daughter's doing an internship this summer. I'll be there this summer.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Summer in the city's fabulous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.